Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, traders. Steve here at Logic FX Trading, and welcome to our daily FX analysis on Friday, the 15th of October 2021. There you go, folks. Quick look at today's economic calendar. We've got retail sales month on month, forecast for minus 0.2% in the United States, and the Michigan consumer sentiment forecast at 73.1. That's not one that I really pay much attention to, guys, but I do know that it's always the last item on the economic calendar of the week. So TGIF, isn't that what they say? Thank God it's Friday. Okay, so nothing too much there to look at. Obviously, retail sales, we'll have to see how that goes. We're still positive on the dollar, on the higher time scale, guys. There will come a time when it will turn and it will go short, but I don't think we're there yet. So hopefully we've still got some more upside to the dollar. So let's just a quick run through the charts. I don't know that we'll have too much to say today that's any different than what we've been saying all week, folks. We did have quite a few setups and quite a few opportunities last week, which then run into this week, guys. And then you get periods of time when you're waiting for something to happen. You're waiting for a setup, or you're managing your trades. Okay, so at the moment, yen's come down as expected. Looking for a bit more downside to the yen. DXY, we're getting that correction, correction out of a possible ending diagonal there, guys. I was looking at it earlier trying to think, well, what else could it be to give us more confidence of where it's going? I'm a little concerned that we might be in something like this, guys, which would then correct it a lot deeper. And then continue long. That would not be surprising if that were to happen. I certainly wouldn't want it to happen because I happen to be long in dollar Swiss, dollar Swedish. It was just one of those ones, guys, where you get into something and it just goes in the opposite direction immediately. And it happens every now and again. And you just have to lap it up because it's part of trading. What I may do is just put a stop loss below there, just in case it drops. Well, not this chart, obviously the Swedish chart. We'll talk about it in a moment. So we could see something like that, but equally, this could just continue to push on up, guys. I still think the trend's long. If it were to get to here, we would then be in a situation of saying, well, why has it come that far? And are we then going to look for a correction for it to drop again? But we'll have a lot more we'll have a lot more information about fundamentals by that stage. At the moment, I don't see any big reason for the dollar to drop. Having said that, if you go over here, there was no big reason for that to happen. There was no big reason for that to happen. The trend has been corrective since for most of the year. From here, it's been corrective, but we have had these drawdowns, guys. So is it going to draw down into the bottom of that channel? That's the thing I'm a little bit concerned about at the moment, and I don't know. What I would love to see would be one more up. You always want one more up, don't you? One more up, and then I can get out of my position, and then I can do it at once. No. Maybe we get one more up, guys, and then maybe it comes closer to the top of there. Remember, that's only got 1 point in it at the moment, guys, and so is that, by the way. So that's just me looking at it and kind of saying, well, if we take that as the top and that as the bottom, and there's where it's going, or it has been the last 6 months, or what's June, July, August, September, 5 months. Is it going to get to that point up there? Or is that it? because it's possible that that's it. And it's important that we get to know, or we figure out what's going on with DXY, guys, because it gives us so much information for all of the other pairs, major pairs, guys. Now, that's a possibility. Let me clean that up a little bit, guys, so we can see what's going on there. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time on DXY here, guys. Let's just take these out for the moment. Right. So that's a little clearer there. Is that what we're looking at? Is this the, you could take the parallel thing in and put it in, but so are we looking at potentially something like that before then it runs again? And is this the point at which it goes? That's the things that's going through my mind at the moment. I don't see any big reason at the moment for that to happen. But often when you look at charts, and I've said this so many times over the years that I've been doing these recordings, guys, often you'll have a chart that's running something like that, and you get a couple of parallel lines in there, and your fundamentals are telling you that this is going to continue on up. But what I say is, I'll not trade that until I see it doing that. And then from there, I would try and trade it up. And I have no idea why that would happen. Fundamentally, no idea why that would happen. And then you come back 2 or 3 weeks later, and where's price? It's there. You get your alarm line on, you look for your setup, and you try and trade it up. Even though back over there, you had no idea why that would happen. Now, it doesn't happen all the time, obviously, but we're looking for the times that price does do what we would like it to do, and then we're in a position to make a decision whether we're going to trade it in the direction we said we would before it got there. So if I was looking at this without any bias, in other words, if I wasn't in any dollar trades, I would possibly say we're looking for a bit more downside to that, guys. And if we got downside to that, put an alarm along there, then you'd be looking for it to break up. Having said that, I don't know fundamentally why that would drop any further. Because at the moment, listening to, let's just call them the experts that come on Bloomberg every day, most of them are saying that they don't see any reason why the Fed wouldn't bring forward their interest rate hikes. Some people are saying they'll not hike before 2023, which is the whole of next year, in other words. But other people are saying, well, they really do need to stop buying bonds, so they need to start tapering. And some Republican senators are saying, I think it's senators, guys. I'm not entirely sure the United States politics. Over here, we've only one type of politician that matters, and they're called an MP, a member of parliament. But in America, you've got senators and you've governors and you've all sorts of different people. Anyway, they're calling for the Fed to start to taper. Now, obviously the Fed aren't going to listen to them, but we'll have to see, guys. If they start to taper, then you'll see the dollar starting to go long. You're cutting the money supply, guys. You'll start to see the dollar going long. If we look at this in the 1 hour time scale, and this is what I'm hoping for, guys, it's come down. It's a 5 wave. It's finished. We're getting a correction, but the correction's already come into the 4th wave. That's what concerned me a little bit. But if you look at that in the 1 hour, is that what we're looking at? Is this about to take off out of there? I would like to think so. But we'll have to see. You see there? See there? See even there, guys? Is that one of those? Even there? There? See them all over the place. Although sometimes they do turn and they run. There's another one. Potentially one there. And then on the way down, you get them the opposite way. So it looks to me like that is getting ready to take off long. That doesn't mean that it definitely will take off long. So what you're waiting for is a little alarm line on there, and you're waiting for that alarm to go off. You're waiting for that to break out in that direction, guys. And that would be your signal to take the opportunity to trade the dollar long. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. But that's what I'm looking for. Now, obviously, then this would drop if that were to happen, and this would start to drop, making that some form of running flat. And we're just accumulating knowledge here, guys. Not knowledge, information. We're looking at lots of different things and evidence. That's the word we're looking for. We're just gathering evidence. And then from that evidence, at some point, we'll go, okay, there's what's happening. Or no, that's not happening. This is what's happening. So that was an ending diagonal, but and we've had that reaction off it. There is possibly a case, and I'm not convinced, that it's a running flat. So it's impulse down into there, running flat, and then it breaks out there, which would be nice. I'm not entirely convinced. We'll have a look at that in a moment, guys. Not entirely convinced of that. I'm more inclined to draw it like that and say it's an ending diagonal. It's not a beautiful ending diagonal, but it's an ending diagonal that's now broken out. Let's see where it's going to go. I'm not going to do anything else at the moment, guys. What I've found with and there's the pound getting stronger. Now, one of the things I've been saying recently, about a little bit indecisive about the pound, guys. Now, remember, this is the pound against the dollar. So if we're looking for the dollar to strengthen up, then, you would be looking at that. But if the pound's going to strengthen independently because there's an awful lot of hawkishness around the Bank of England, then you could just end up with this running flat, guys. But if the dollar were to go short, then that would turn out to be a good trade. But I don't know yet. Now, I could lie and guess, and but I'm not going to guess, guys. The whole point of this is to let you guys see behind the curtain, as it were, the decision-making process, or sometimes the indecision-making process. Aussie US, it's come back up. Maybe it pushes up a little bit more, gives a double top, and then comes off. New Zealand, to be honest, I wasn't expecting that. Earlier in the week, we were looking at this and wondering, was it going to drop? So yet again, that's that pullback. And we're just waiting now to see, does it start to move like that, or does it hang around there and give us a setup which would indicate that the dollar is going to continue to drop, guys? In other words, if this develops into something a little bit more complex that then starts to point in that direction, then that's the trade we would take. But at the moment, for me, that looks like it wants to go long. And then with the CAD, obviously with the strength of oil at the minute, you don't really want to be trading against the CAD. So I would just leave that alone. If you're in it short from up here, I don't know, maybe you take your profit, maybe you run your stop losses, trail your stop losses. It just depends on what trading strategy you have, guys. I like to get in and out of trades, but that's just my personal, my personality. I don't like leaving things on the table for too long, and maybe it's a weakness. I don't know. Maybe it's a fault, not a weakness. Maybe it's a wrong strategy. I don't know. Well, only time will tell. So yet again, here we have the dollar Swiss, my pal, and I'm looking to see if that's going to continue to go long, guys, or whether there's going to be more downside to it. At the minute, it looks a bit like a zigzag, but with that tail being so long, and I know that looks like a 3, so that maybe complicates things, but if we just call the 1, 2, 3 like that, maybe it's a zigzag and off it goes. But remember, there is a little bit of ambiguity with Elliott at times, in that could turn into a 5 with a 4 here, and we're developing, making the 4. Excuse me. Okay, sorry about that, folks. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. We'll know in a few days. I mean, this will either start to go long, or it will hang around there. If it hangs around there, or the longer it hangs around there, the more I might be convinced that there's another leg down to it. And obviously, yet again, despite the fact that the dollar went short, here we have dollar yen continue to push on up, guys. And this is one that I should have traded way back, and I held back and I held back. And we did say that, well, what we were talking about yesterday is we looked at this and we said, well, it could be a zigzag and it's complete, saying that wave's the same as that wave. But the other thing, I did look at it and I said to myself, that, or I said to you guys, didn't say it to myself. There's a possible 5 wave in there, which would be your third wave. So possibly a 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a 3. And now, once this wave's finished, look for some sort of correction, probably into the area of the 4th wave there. And then we'll probably get a 5th wave on up, if Elliott's going to work out for us in this situation. But so far, it's looking really good. And of course, the place to trade, the third wave is always the one that you want to trade, because it's always the one that gives you the most distance, and always the one that's, the most impulsive. And there you have it. There, it should have got in long from there, guys. That would have been a really nice trade. And then at this point, I probably would have been taking profit, waiting for this to finish. And then if it does set up, we'll look for the next move up. It doesn't have to do that, guys. But when it does that, then that gives us our setups. And when I say it doesn't have to do that, what I mean is it doesn't have to follow Elliott. But every now and again, things do follow Elliott, and we can pick up on it, and that's times that we can trade with a higher degree of probability than just guessing, as it were. So US Swiss, at the minute, we're seeing that little push up there again, which is encouraging. Having said that, if you look at how this chart moves, it could be moving up, and then this afternoon it could be moving back down again. So I wouldn't read too much into it. But if we believe that's a zigzag and that's the correction done, and this is going to continue long, then possibly this is the place to get long. Gold, there's gold come back off again after that little spike, guys. Is it just a zigzag, and then we get a continuation of what we've been dealing with for months? I don't know. I would just be a little bit wary of getting involved in gold there. Unfortunately, I've been involved in gold for a long time, and I'm just going to have to stick in there until gold comes back up to a level where I can get out of the trades that I'm in. Although, and this is something to think about, guys. In the last, let's say this year, I've closed 5 or 6 trades minus 30%. I'm talking about stocks here, guys. And each one of those stocks that I closed around 30%, if I'd have stayed in them for weeks and months later, not only would I have, I would have actually been able to close them in a better position, and possibly even in the green. So there's a lot to be said for, sticking with stocks, sticking with things, guys. So long as your belief the initial belief and the initial reason why you bought the company in the first place is still valid, then, you know, the stock market will go from sector to sector, and you know, you get your ups and your downs and whatever. And within the ups and downs, say that's the Nasdaq or whatever, the S&P 500, and then within, you know, within these moves, you'll get certain sectors that will come off deeper, while other ones will maybe continue to go long, and some will just run flat. So if you divided that out, that's all the sectors in there. That's the whole index. And then if you've divided out into, say, growth stocks or miners or, you know, services, you'll have, for each of those sectors, you'll have its own chart. So what sometimes happens is that when you get something like that on the chart, you'll have, say, growth sector dropping like a stone, but then the market starts to recover. And when things do that, sometimes we chicken out. I tend to chicken out around 30%. And you get out and you sell the thing. And then as this comes in, a few weeks or months later, you get, it doesn't mean you'll necessarily get your whole 30% back, but you certainly maybe get out of it for minus 10%. Or if you hang on long enough, you could actually probably make a profit. But that's the difference between trading and being a long-term investor, guys. Now, one thing that does kind of cross my mind is that if you have something else you want to buy and you're 100% invested, I suppose say 100%, guys, but there's a stock over here that you really like, and you have a stock that's minus 30%, well then, okay, take the cash out of there, put it into there, and you know, you're back on the horse, as it were, in theory. But what I was doing was I was sitting with, you know, 40% cash, and then taking that off and putting that up to, you know, 43% cash, whatever it would be, but not using it in something else. So maybe that's something I need to adjust for stocks. Now, currencies are a little bit different, guys. Currencies can bankrupt you. In other words, they can go off in a different direction. You know, you're trying to trade up this way. They can go and go and go and go and go and empty your account. So you need to be a little bit more disciplined with currencies than with stocks. So with a currency, you gotta pick a stop loss, and you say, well, if it breaks through there, I'm out. And if I lose 10% or 20%, whatever it is on that particular trade, then you gotta lap it up, let it hit your stop loss, and then get on with it, guys. Now I hope that I hope you understand what I'm saying there. I'll when I get the new training course recorded and published, and I'll probably record it all and publish it all together. I'll go through trading strategies and different ideas in more detail, folks. Silver's done the same thing as gold. We've had a little breakout. We're getting a pullback. Doesn't mean that it can't continue on up, guys, but I'd just be wary. You know, we've had all these false dawns with breakouts on gold and silver over the last lot of months, guys. Periods when we thought, well, it's come down into there, it's going to break out and going to go here, and then we got this again, guys. Having said that, there is a kind of a flat correction going on there with silver. And is that the bottom? If it is, then we're potentially in a breakout here. I am long in silver, just a small trade on SLV, which is currently in the red. But I'll not be adding to it just yet, guys. Bitcoin's hit 60,000 again, guys. Remember what I was saying here was, where would I invest? Well, it would be down here. That doesn't mean that I think it's going to go down there. So just, you know, this is the reason that I like recording rather than just putting a chart out, guys, because charts, you can look at charts and things keep going up, and then people say, oh, he got that wrong. No, I wasn't saying that it was going to go down there. I'm saying, well, if it were to come down here, that would be a value where I would be really keen to get involved in Bitcoin. At these levels, I'm not. And we went through this the last time it was up here, because when it got up into here before, I said, no, I'm not getting involved in this. It's too high. It has to correct. And what did we get? We got an ending diagonal, and we got our correction, guys. So the place to get involved in Bitcoin was back down here. I did get involved in it, but unfortunately I sold out there. And I didn't get into it again. I was looking at this structure when we were coming through here. I was looking at this structure and wondering, was this going to drop again down into here and then be a much better place to get involved? And guys, at the end of the day, it's not about what the instrument is. It's about where it's going to and what value you can buy it at. So don't be buying things because it's Bitcoin or because you want to be involved in something. Buy it because it's the right price. And at the minute, that's not the right price for me. Now, if it turns out that this doesn't correct again and it bombs on through there and gives us a correction up there somewhere, then that would have turned out to be the right price, guys. But we don't know what's going to do that. And therefore, that's not the place to buy it. This may push to 64,000 or whatever that 65,000, whatever that top thing was, give us a double top and then come off again. And then we would get down into that value where, we say, hey, this is worth getting involved in again, guys. You need discipline with this game, folks. Ethereum is doing the same thing. It's going up and up. It'll possibly give us a double top there and then come off, or it may even get, if Bitcoin gets to its new high, this could get the same, its all-time high, should I say. Give us another double top and then come off it again. And if it comes off it, then it might be worth buying. Now, I've been looking into cryptos an awful lot more recently than that I had done the last lot of years. And in order to force myself to learn a little bit about it, I started doing a little bit of crypto mining, guys, because I said to myself, the only way I'm going to understand this thing is to get into it in depth. So I bought a couple of crypto miners, a couple of computers, and built crypto miners on just small stuff, GPU stuff, guys. And I've had a really steep learning curve over the last couple of months. But from that, I'm getting a much better understanding of what crypto is and what moves it and what doesn't move it, etc. And one of the things that I've noticed, now a lot of people are saying Ethereum is going to be has more chance of being taken on as a currency than Bitcoin has. But one of the things I've noticed about Ethereum is it's really, excuse me, folks, really, really expensive to use it. If you try to get your Ethereum out into cash or to move it from one place to the other, it's really, really expensive, guys. Extortionately so. And I haven't quite got to the bottom of why it is, but what's starting to happen is people are developing other systems that run cheaper, and those are more likely, in my mind, to become the currency, the one that people use to buy things with. For example, there's a thing called Polygon, and it only costs cents to move things around, to swap from one type of currency to another. It costs you a few cents to do it, whereas with Ethereum it costs tens of dollars to move small amounts of money from one place to the other. And if you're moving $100 from one place to the other and it costs you $50 to do it, it's just a non-starter, guys. It's ridiculous. Now, I could be talking out of my rear end here. This is just my layman's observations of a couple of months of looking at cryptos. But for me, there are other things out there that are a lot cheaper than these two that could well be the thing that's adopted going forward. So for me, that's where the potential opportunity for good investment is. I don't know enough about it yet to recommend things, but I am working on it. And when I do know a little bit about it, guys, I'll start talking about individual potential cryptocurrency, real cryptocurrencies, one that would actually be used like a currency. They're called currencies, but they're not currencies, guys. Okay, that's just a little bit on my thoughts on cryptocurrency, guys. Oil, yeah, it's up there, it's staying up there. Of course, it could correct and whatever, but it's not coming down here, guys. So you can rely on oil staying there, and the medium term, you can rely on the CAD strengthening, continuing to strengthen. But that's not something I can get involved in, guys. It's gone too far to get involved in. The day you get involved in it will be the day that it corrects. So just leave it for now. Let's see if it forms another structure. And if it forms that structure, it may point us in one direction or the other. And if you're in it, well, my goodness, you've done really well. Either run your stops or take your profit. Euro Oz, it's done the same thing, guys. Yet again, commodity-based currency, done fantastically well over the last few months. Probably going to peter out, but not just yet. Maybe there's a bit more downside to it yet. Euro New Zealand, hopefully we're not running into problems here. Let me pause you. Euro New Zealand, well, there you have it, guys. Continue to push down. I haven't recommended trading any of these, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, guys. Can't get everything all the time. Euro yen, well, there you go. It's just going and going and going, isn't it? I will bum a little bit about that one. I said for months that the yen was going to drop. And then when it started to drop, I said get into it. I did get into it, but I took the profit too soon by the looks of things. Aussie yen and New Zealand yen was what I traded. But there you have it, guys. If you're in it, great. Start thinking about either moving your stop losses or taking your profit, because at some point it will correct. Euro Swiss. Not sure about that one, guys. Pound CAD. Looking for a bit of strength in the pound, guys, potentially. But not against the CAD at the minute. Pound Oz. There's a little bit of a pullback there. That alarm's gone off. I'll need a bit more upside to that before I would get involved in it. Let's see if it breaks out, gives us a setup, and starts the road back up, and then we can get involved in trading it up. Probably better this one. I didn't get to the bottom of that flash down with New Zealand the other day, guys. You see, we saw it there, and I haven't got to the bottom of that yet. I haven't looked for it. It's just it came up again today, and I've gone, well, I haven't found out why that happened yet. But see, again, there's your little reaction there of the pound. Pound Swiss broken out long. Now, potentially that could continue to run, guys. See, I don't have a lot of faith in gold going long. And I think potentially gold's being hampered by Bitcoin. I don't know the numbers yet, guys, but Bitcoin's been moving up when I would, at the same time that I was expecting oil to be moving up, there's the yen dropping again, folks. Just a smidgen. Oops. Oh, I need to move it a bit. Oh, there's it down there. That's why it keeps going off. It's dropped again like a stone for some reason. So that'll be good for anyone that's, look at that, guys. So Aussie Swiss, where were we? Pound Swiss, pound euro. There's the pound moving up there again. Pound yen. Aussie yen. They're all this is 4 hours, by the way, guys. These are all too late for me to get into. Aussie New Zealand. Oh, there's a pullback. Now, this is nice. Because this is what we've been looking for. Let it settle down a little bit. It's on the 4 hours, remember. I think in the next week, maybe start to see that pushing long again, guys. Aussie Swiss continuing to push on up. Aussie CAD running flat, guys. Don't be. We'll wait to see if it breaks out. And if it breaks out and gives us a setup, maybe you can look at trading that up. Swiss yen. All those poor traders who were trading that in the opposite direction. 60%, guys, when it was here somewhere and I was calling it long. Nothing to do with there, guys. You've got to wait for a correction. CAD Swiss. Going to continue long, guys. CAD yen. Going to continue long. We've been looking for a setup for a while. As I pointed out, yes, it looks more like a running flat. I think when we were in the 1 hour time scale, we're kind of wondering, was it a little ending diagonal? And I know I said it was a running flat because of that. Put that in the indicator running flat. But we were hoping it was an ending diagonal and it would drop to there and then we could get into the trade. But it's a little running flat. It's pushed on out up the top. If you're not in it, I wouldn't be trying to get into it there, guys. New Zealand yen. There it goes again. Yet again, we're looking for a setup, guys. New Zealand CAD. Is this going to just keep moving on up? Possibly. Not sure yet. And New Zealand Swiss. Yeah. The reason we had that arrow in, it was twofold. Number one was it looked like it wanted to drop. And the second one was that we were looking for gold to start going long because of all the insecurity within the stock market. But the stock market's just continued to push, well, not continued, it started pushing long again, guys, this week. So obviously that's out the window. So what are you looking for now? Well, this possibly could push on up, but I don't see a setup on it at the minute, guys. So there's nothing really much there at the moment that I would get into a trade. If you're in a trade, then whatever is said about it, make up your mind whether you want to take your profit or at least move your stop losses closer. But if you're not in anything at the moment, I wouldn't rush to get into anything at the moment, guys. In the past, I used to be jumping in and out of these trades like the Leo, and you end up getting as many wrong as you get right. And what's the point in that? Because you end up not making any money. So I've learned to just be a little bit more, keeping an eye on it. When you see a good opportunity, taking it. If you get it right, let it run. And everything else is on stocks, guys. Okay, that'll do for today. That'll do for the week, guys. I hope you're getting something out of this. And if you have any questions, I don't mind answering questions, guys. Okay, bye for now.